Hello, everybody. Good evening. Aradhana Tiwari from Be the Change by Aradhana, and the founder of the Be the Change page, and I'm Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator, and your friend who comes here to talk to you every Sunday and get beautiful guests around with me. So, Be the Change is page whosoever is joining us for the first time. Be the Change page is an invitation for people to actually show up as who they are, what they are, and it gives a question every morning to introspect in your world who you are, what you are, if you had no reference points, if you had no references, and if you had no, and you haven't created your future from the past, what will be now, and who would you be now? And if you be you, truly you, who would you be now? So that's the whole motto. And never give up, never give in, never quit. And this talk show is all about bringing up those people, the celebrities, who I say is my celebrities are the people who actually never gave up, who knew something beautiful is possible, something different is possible, and they don't have to be like any and everybody on the planet, and they can choose to be the difference they be. So I invite every who I get inspired with, and it's fun for me to invite them, talk to them, know their life journey, how they created, because they are creating amazing in their spaces and places. Yet I love to listen to the stories, how they actually never gave up, never gave in, and never quit, and how they created such big businesses, spaces, and places. So, and their journey has been really, really inspiring me to keep going and creating more. So I always think that, I invite them so that maybe they become a new possibility for you too. So today I have an amazing guest and a beautiful friend, and who is, I love her body work. She was my first person I actually got my any body work done. So in her workshop, I went and attended in Dubai, and my body has changed ever since then. And it was the most beautiful experience I had. And I'm like, wow, somebody can just touch you and can know so much about a body. And this is like a very, 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 very amazing close friend, Dr. Glenna Rice. And so Dr. Glenna Rice is DPT, a physical therapist, certified in Access Consciousness and Joy of Business. She's the owner of Access Physical Therapy in San Rafael, California, and is a creator of EMT, Energetic Manual Therapy. A benevolent and the conscious leading entrepreneur, she has built her international company from the ground up with the gross revenues topping $500K. Glenna is also multi-Amazon best-selling co-author. She has been working with dancers, athletes, children for over 25 years. She travels internationally for business, facilitating classes, including the Access 3-day body classes and the energetic manual therapy workshop, and more to listen around bodies. And she is a parent of 3 kids. So I would invite Dr. Glenna Rice on the platform. Can I have you, Dr. Glenna? Can you? Hello.
Hello.
Welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Glenna, and saying yes to this show.
Oh, I'm so happy to talk to you. And I haven't seen you in so long.
I know, and you know how crazy I am around you. It's like
Oh,
always feels so nice. And ever since the first time I met you, and I actually flew down to Dubai to do a body class with you, and I didn't know what body class means, what happens in the body class, but I just knew there's a lady who's called Dr. Glenna Rice, and she's amazing with the body work. And you need to, if you have to do the class, you do with her first class. And I'm like, when would she come to India? I wonder when she'll come to India, but fly wherever it is. And I think Dubai was the closest you were flying then. And
yep.
I could never forget that first year of my body changing and so much of shifts and the ease you were with. So I would like to talk more around that. But first, starting here, like, could you tell us more around your life, how it started, and how were you always so attuned to this body work from your childhood? Were you like always knowing about bodies? So can we know about that?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think I've ever been asked what that. So I grew up in the suburbs of Seattle, Washington, way up in Washington State. Um, Pretty traditional American childhood, kind of normal suburban. It was, nice parents, a brother, um, good schools. And I was going to go into medicine somehow. I was going to be a pharmacist for a while, a veterinarian. So I was interested in something with bodies, but nothing like what I know now. And then I was swimming, synchronized swimming actually, and did many, many years of studying ballet and dance. And that was probably where my interest in bodies came from and where I chose the route of going into physical therapy. So that was I graduated from physical therapy school 30 years ago. I got my master's and then my doctorate in that. But I was pretty traditional. I wasn't very weird. But I always knew there was something. There was always something that could change with bodies that the medical profession didn't understand. You know,
Wow.
I would work on people and things would change that would make no sense by what I'd been trained in. And I'd feel things in my body that no one could explain to me while I was working on bodies. And I knew there was something more. And I ended up doing a really cool training in the myofascial release work, which is kind of where the energetic manual therapy class probably first got its seeds,
Mhm.
you know, where I first started changing the way I worked on bodies. And this class, I went to because I wanted to work with more athletes. It's more hands-on skills. I'd been working in pediatrics with children for about 6 years, and I was married, had 2 kids at that point, was moving across the country from Boston to San Francisco. And I wanted to train in some new areas and open up, you know, to work at it, not to stop working in pediatrics only. And this guy's class was like, wow, okay, there is magic actually with bodies. I had never experienced it, or no one had ever spoken to me about it. I'd never seen anyone teach it. I didn't really know you could do that, that was possible. And very quickly after that, access consciousness showed up because one of the things that happened is I started asking questions about bodies and other things in my life, and access showed up, which
Wow.
is a totally different story.
Uh-huh. So it's like there was always a knowing in your world as like you were choosing medical and you were like then choose. But then I have a question like I being a doctor's daughter and a doctor families, I always have this curiosity. Is it that something outside you teaches you or you each doctor or like even when you were learning your therapy, as you said that your body knew something different within. So
Mhm.
how easy was it for you to bring up what you actually knew from within than what you were taught in the medical?
Um, Really not until I started doing the access work and putting the access tools and the access body processes in, did I really get that. There was something so far beyond the little teeny bit that we're shown in the medical profession. I mean, there's a lot of information. You train for years and years learning stuff. I
So
want to say
that's
stuff.
based on some other people's experiences, right? But you each
Yeah.
of us know something special and different. So how do you integrate that into your work? Like because I remember I had one session with you in Hong Kong and while the class was going on and you come and touch my neck and you just adjusted something and I'm like what is she doing? I would love to learn what she does. And over the years then that class got created, which is like so amazing. But that was my ask. I would love to learn what she does.
So how do I want to speak to that? So I had lots of skills and I trained in lots of things and I worked on lots of bodies, and it's the bodies. I'm going to say it's something for me, but it was the bodies that showed me, the hundreds and hundreds of bodies, thousands of bodies that I've worked on, showed me what was possible.
Wow.
And I allowed them to show me. I never really had fixed points of views. I always wanted something better to show up when I worked on bodies. The idea was that they would get better, that they would change stuff. So that was enough of a question for bodies to show me what was possible. And I invited them to a different possibility. I invited them to heal or to not be in pain or to change their structure so they had more ease, whatever they were asking for. And then, you know, access, I've been doing access for 15 years. So for 15 years now, that's what I've been with bodies. A question, like, what do you want to change here? What
Wow.
can you change? And I have to get out of the way and allow the bodies to change and then follow the energy of what the body's showing me and jump in when it's asking. You can't force a body to change, but you can always invite it to change, or anybody, not just the body, the being too. Force never works. That was probably the one thing that was different about me, is I
Uh,
kind of always knew forcing bodies never changed anything.
so what is it that changes bodies? So what do you know about bodies? What can you share around bodies? Like you have so much. I know you know so much. I can never stop asking you enough. Yeah. What?
um, Sorry, I need my coffee. It's really early here in San Francisco. The sun's just starting to rise. What do I know about bodies? They have awareness. They will do pretty much anything we ask of them. They like to work with us, not against us, and we don't get that. So few people get that. Bodies would like to contribute to us, and the can contribute to a greater future if we're choosing it. But if we're choosing it, I want to say crap, the bodies will go along with that too. They're capable of so much more than we allow them, so much more change. Very few things that I've seen in bodies aren't like diseases or pains or problems. Aren't very few can't or don't have a possibility to change. I've seen so many things just go away, like disease states and people that have changed cancer when you choose it. But that's the tough part, is getting people to see what is possible if they change their points of views with bodies. Am I making any sense?
Yeah. So is it
such a big question?
Yeah. No. So what is it that bodies do create these pains and diseases and stuff which you have seen over the years? What has been the root cause for creation of all these? Like, people don't even acknowledge they have bodies. Like bodies never been thought of. So one is that, like, how to actually bring the whole attention to your bodies. And because people, like, I would not create a cancer in my body, I would not create pancreatic problems in my body, I would not create liver issues in my body. But what is your, like, what is this disconnect between the bodies and the being? You've been working with them for years.
Well, we don't honor bodies anywhere on this planet.
Yeah.
So we've never really created with them.
Wow.
We kind of ignore them and we force the food on them. We tell them they should eat this many times a day, sleep this much, do this, work really hard. I know America, work your fingers to the bones. Hard work is valuable. Joy is not valuable. We don't honor bodies very much. And bodies love to do things. It's not like all the work they do, they won't do for you. But if you invite them to it, it's a really different creation than if you're forcing it upon them. But
when you invite them, and when you invite the bodies, that's so beautiful. Every time you say it, it's like my body's like, please invite. That is so.
But like this morning, this would be an example. So I'm on the Zoom with you here, the Facebook Live, right? And it's early in the morning. I had to get up at 5:30. I've been sleeping until 9 most mornings because there's no school to get up to. We're in lockdown too, still here in America. And I was kind of like, oh, I've got to get up early, which isn't an invitation. Instead, it's like, we got to do a radio show tomorrow with Aradhana, who we enjoy. We have to wake up at 5:30. Body, what time do you want to go to sleep so we're refreshed? So we have a nurturing night's sleep, and we can get up at 5:30 so we can get, our makeup on and get on the Zoom in time with ease. So that's an invitation instead of forcing myself like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so tired. I have to get up at 5:30. Which would be more of a force and not a creation with my body. And that's just how I be with everything. So that's just, to this morning, but that's how my days are with my body.
Wow.
Inviting it to the life we're creating.
So when you had your kids, like, were you aware of this information? Did you bring them up that way? Are your daughters and your sons, like, bodies being created that way? Are they being more honoring, and are they more in communion with that?
They definitely were. So my youngest is 16. I have 3 kids. My oldest is 26. He's not a kid at all. He's on his own, working, got a great job. Graduated from university. And then I have a 22-year-old daughter, so I have 3. And they were, I brought them to Access workshops since they were really young. My youngest was like a year old when I first started doing classes. So they traveled with me and they came to classes. And when I started using the tools, they got it. It was in my house. I mean, what does your body want to eat? Was how they were raised with those kind of questions. Not, you need to eat everything on your plate. Does your body want to eat that? Yes or no? Ask your body. And they've used it beautifully at times and inspired me to possibilities of what bodies can actually be, because they didn't have a point of view when they were young. And they've been stubborn teenagers that totally refused it and hated everything mom did and said and didn't want to have anything to do with it. So I've been, the host scope of children has been available to me about how much they chose to use the possibilities and when they didn't. But they have a confidence in their choices that I see that's really unusual by being raised with access. They don't doubt their choices. They really have what people call self-confidence. And when they choose things or change things, they don't tend to go into a lot of head tripping about, why they're choosing. Is it wrong, or is it, is it going to be terrible? They don't have that in their world. They're more aware of choices that are going to create more for them. And they have an ease with choosing that, which I see is kind of unusual in its reality. So access, definitely being raised with these tools help them
So what is the
have.
difference that you have noticed that between a conscious and more present body, and when you're more in communion with the body, and those bodies to respect the other regular bodies who we have not been paying attention to? Have you ever noticed this difference?
Yeah, that's a cool question. You can listen to them. Bodies that have more consciousness or more awareness, there's actually just more of a communion with you in your body. And when they talk, when they give you information, you can hear it.
No.
Partially because you can't do this alone. You and your body do this together. It's not like your body gets conscious and you don't, or you get conscious and your body doesn't. It's something that you're choosing
Yeah.
with your body. So you start, you'll have an ache or pain. You'll say, "Oh, what is that?" And you'll actually start to get clarity on what it is, which actually creates this really cool ease in your life. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I do. It's like always easy to talk. And it's amazing when we talk to bodies and we get these body therapies done and work on bodies, which was so new to my world when I got into access, like
Yeah.
learning processes. And there's something, and you put your hand on your bodies and your bodies can change. And I'm like, what is that? What do you mean bodies will change? But that then I always had this question that, when you're going through that actually intense changes and intense pains and what we call as pains, though those are awarenesses, but those are intensities. Like, say somebody is going through a severe pain or aches in the body or cancer or high blood pressure suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
How to be then, because that's when you panic and you don't want to die, and you're like, oh god, I need to have a medical treatment, I need to have medicines. And that then we don't have that patience of actually questioning and being present to that awareness, but your body is almost creating a death in your body. So can you say more around that?
Talk about pain in the bodies. Yeah, that we could talk for hours. Actually, those are my workshops. That's like,
So I just wanted to know the awareness, like what is how does this whole body processes and the therapies of yours in contrast to people who are actually going through a severe, so-called
right,
intense
right.
thing?
So one of the things you have to be aware of is light and heavy. So what's true for you is light, and what's heavy is a lie. What's heavy is a lie. And we all know heavy. Just pretty much all the political stuff in the world, right, is pretty much heavy. You turn on the news right now, it's heavy. Heavy we're very familiar with. Light is something a little different. That's what something that's light almost makes you giggle or smile, or you go, oh my, it's like that light bulb that goes off on the side of your head. So what's true for you feels light to you, and what's heavy is a lie. And that's true with your body. Now, when you have an intensity like a pain or something like that, a lot of people do go into, oh my God, there's something terrible happening, I'm going to die. Or I have to go to the hospital, or I'm having, I have cancer, or I have a appendicitis, or our head can go to so many different places, partially because we have never been given the training to know our bodies and to speak and communicate with them. That's been given to this medical profession. And the medical profession, and not just in Western medicine, I'm going to say every profession that works with bodies on this planet, Ayurvedic doctors, Chinese medicine doctors, naturopaths, acupuncturists, chiropractors, all of them come from this training that they know something about your body you don't know, and they're all coming from an answer, and they're not asking questions, and they're going to give you a diagnosis and a treatment. It's not about change. It's about something's wrong and I'm going to fix it. I'm talking about something totally different. You're aware of something that's not working. Your body's screaming at you. What is it telling you? Because every pain is all of the things we call pain is information your body's giving you about something. It could be you have cancer, but it could be, oh, there's a COVID coming and we should probably leave the city because there's going to be a virus everywhere. It can be that bizarre what our bodies tell us. You were going to say something.
No, I was like, it's like, wow, like even COVID, no medical doctors have a clear picture of it. But we are all like hit and trial methods. And what is kind of, right now with the whole pandemic going on. So what would you
Yeah.
say around it? Like, how do the bodies react and who the bodies are taking it on and off? So what is your
You want me to talk about COVID? I have lots of well, not points of views. It's a virus, and it's pretty successful as far as viruses go. It's doing a good job. It's like it loves a party. I read something like COVID loves a big group of people and to party with you. Um, but it's behaving pretty much like viruses do. And pandemics show up every few hundred years in our population of people, and we have a lot of people on the planet, so it's got a lot more people to play with. It was interesting because early on I heard about it and whatever, I was like, "Oop, I need to find a mask because we're going to need those." Having worked in hospitals for years, that was my like, "Oh, you need a mask." And then I asked my body, "Okay, what do you require so your future works for you?" Because if they're going to be when they started locking things down, I at one point thought, oh, well, if I have immunity, I'll still be able to travel or something like that. I said, so body, what do you need to do to what's required? And I don't think that I had COVID, but I got my body for about 4 or 5 days created like a flu-like symptoms, sort of, but mostly just wanted to sleep. And after the 5 days, I was like, what was that? And I was like, well, you asked, and now we are immune.
Wow.
That was the energy it told me, like, I'm not going to have a problem. One thing to know about viruses is the very best way known to not have a problem with a virus. The thing that kills the virus the most effectively is your immune system.
And
and
you can ask our body. We can ask our bodies to actually just be like, make yourself immune to if you want to live in, right?
Yeah. There is really no cure for any virus that we have on the planet, and we have thousands of viruses. Our bodies have viruses around them, in them all the time, and there's no cure for virus except for your immune system. I mean, that's really what a vaccine does. Is a vaccine triggers your immune system to kill the virus if it ever sees it. Yeah. So a dynamic, powerful immune system is your best cure.
So what is it, Glenna, that people are not willing to take these simple, easy options rather than they want to choose like medical treatments and go through the complications, right? Like what you just said, that you created that with your body and you trusted your body and you asked your body and your body created the immune system. Why would anyone not choose that? What is that people are not choosing that?
Well, no one hears about this. I mean, you can find in medical literature stuff about the immune system. I mean, it's not a secret that is what kills a virus, is a strong immune system. It's not a secret in medicine, but I don't know. I think people are looking for answers, and this is something that's, 6 months ago it showed up, or 9 months ago. It's still new, and that the information to give answers isn't available yet. You have to use your knowing. Knowing doesn't require an answer. So knowing is looking for awareness.
Knowing might kill them. Their knowing might kill them.
Their knowing might kill them.
That's possible.
It usually doesn't, unless you want to, unless that's what if it's that time that they're choosing to actually not have their body anymore, then their knowing may let them know. But
oh, that's amazing. So it can be so magical. So like, how we do space whispers and we do a lot of stuff. So you've been whispering with bodies forever. So could you say like what do you know about, like, what do you know that bodies actually tell us about us, our lives, how a body tells you? So if you see a body, I'm sure you can make out like, what this person is going through. And I remember you creating a big, yours around the bulge around your stomach area. For years you had it and you carried it with very confidence, and suddenly you changed your body totally. And I was like, what happened? Where did that baby will go? That was like, and you were like so easy with it. So, can we talk a little around that? So,
like the size and shape of my body, judging your body is what never changes it.
Yeah.
Judging your body. So if you have a bump from your baby, and I know everywhere on the planet, and I teach all over the place. I've been to India numerous times, and all over Asia and Europe and Americas and South America. And the one thing that is pretty common amongst all people that are in my classes is they judge their body, and that women think they're fat.
Yeah.
Almost all women, even no matter how thin they are, think that they have too much body fat. And somehow if they get rid of their body fat, that will change their life.
Yeah.
But what's true is the size and shape of your body is not what creates your life. There are wealthy people that are big and fat, and there's poor people that are skinny, and there's big people that are married with kids, and there's people that are big and happy and skinny and angry, and it doesn't have anything to do with the creation of your life.
Yeah.
That's your choice. Your point of view creates your reality, and your point of view creates your body too. So if you judge your body as fat, or that your hips are too big, or your stomach is too big, or whatever you're judging, and I know all of you guys that probably listening at some point have judged your body, that's what you create. No one ever went to bed going, oh my God, my butt is too big, I am so fat, and woke up in the morning skinny.
So
It doesn't work. That's what actually creates it. It's changing your point of view that changes your body, really, having a different point of view, and not judging it, having allowance for what it's creating right now, like what you're creating right now, and asking for something different.
wow.
That's what changes.
So is it also when you change your body, the life also changes weirdly outside you?
Well, what do you know?
I mean, I get that. Like, probably I'm like, body's giving so much of information that,
Right.
how your atmosphere is, your environment is. If it's going through the trauma and drama, it kind of creates a lot of fat to hold you through that period. Like, I went through this change in my personal life where have been, I created a lot of, the fat area around the stomach, and I still hold it because there is so much of emotional drama that, in my life, the major change. And every time I've spoken to my body, it's like, you need that support. So, it's for me, the fat is a support.
That's cool. And that's an awareness. And then when you don't require that,
Yeah.
when you don't have the requirement for this energy of support, when that point of view of yours changes,
Yeah.
then your body doesn't have to continue to create that for you. And what if it's not a problem?
Yeah.
That's my favorite question with bodies. Truth, is this a problem? Yes or no? Now that's the light and heavy tool you got to use. You got to be able to see if it's heavy or light, if it's a problem. And now 90% of the time it's not a problem. Most people are going to get a no, it's not a problem. We think it's a problem, and then we come up with reasons and justifications about why it's a problem, and we come up with more justifications on top of those justifications about why it's a problem. But usually if you just ask truth, is this a problem, you'll get a no. If you do get a yes, ask more questions.
Yeah. So how is it that related to, like, when we say that body is more conscious, and sometimes, your body is shifting and changing something on the other side of the planet, like, the earth. So maybe, and how do you know that it is not something around you? Because we tend to only think about the people who are next door to us around them.
Yeah. Yeah, to know how big a sphere of awareness we have. I mean, it's bigger than the planet. And bodies can be aware of what's going on in the earth. I mean, how much was my body aware of this mass pandemic that was coming back in February? I think it was the first week of February, where I spent a week kind of so tired I couldn't get out of bed, which was really unusual for me, who only sleeps about 4 or 5 hours a night. It was aware of the future. It was aware of what was required for the future. And what was it changing on the planet? Now, is that weird that our bodies could actually change things on the planet? But if your body can heal just by touch, like you said, I put my hand on your neck and it adjusted.
Yeah.
We can heal by just walking by people. Not everybody. The person has to desire some kind of a change for that to work. But there's capacities our body have that are so beyond anything we've learned or spoken about. I mean, probably some of the yogis of the past that have been written about mention bits of magic that are like, oh my God. But what if that's available for every single body if we choose it? And it's not weird and unusual that you could feel something. So there could be a volcano erupting somewhere and a person has a migraine. Right now, I don't know if you've seen this, but with the mass pandemic and lots of turmoil in the planet, lots of anger and fury and rage and hate, there's bodies that I would never expect to have anything going on with them except for magic and possibilities, are having crazy physical things. I keep getting calls from people that are like the healthiest people, let's say, in this reality I've seen, or some of the most magical bodies, and they've got like headaches or stomach pains that are unbelievable. And it's been happening probably in the last month or two. And I'm like, what are you changing? Who are you healing? And sometimes those questions are creating more change for them. And that's something a lot bigger than just the person in the house with them.
Right.
They're creating massive changes. It's kind of like we have changed tracks. The world has really taken a huge change this year. And bodies are either aware of the changing, or trying to drag us along with them into the new possibilities that are happening on the planet. And then you can perceive that,
Yeah.
you're perceiving those changes, and they can be intense.
Yeah. So how to deal with them at that point of time? Because sometimes I mean, we do get that it's like the awarenesses around the planet, or some changes, but you make it so yours, like irrespective, even if you say that it's not yours and you're just making it aware, and you're like, what are you aware of? How to be with that other than popping up the medical medication, like
Well,
so
sometimes medication is good. Western medicine, Ayurvedic, naturopaths, go to a chiropractor. Those are things bodies can absolutely use to create a different possibility. It's just to not make them the answer. Your body knows, and medical professionals are not trained to know at all. They are untrained in their knowing. You spend years in those fields learning to never be aware and always come up with an answer. But the tools they have are great. So I'm not going to say, like, if you needed to have pain med because you got a broken leg and you need a cast, go get it, because that's a great thing to have available. I'm not in any way against Western medicine or any medicine. It's only when it's an answer. So what do you do with that? So you have like to not go. So you can ask, okay, is this mine? Is one great question. Who does this belong to? Body, is this yours or someone else's or something else? Your body will be aware of what's going on in other bodies or the planet Earth. It can be aware of it. And it gives you those awarenesses in all sorts of different ways. And you will usually decide that it's a pain.
Yeah.
You will say, ow.
I remember asking, how do you know it's the same kind of a ache? And you use the word ache for everything. It's a stomach ache, headache, but stomach also has different kind of aches. Like nobody asked me which kind of ache is that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So if 6 million people are going to get coronavirus or something like this, they're going to get these symptoms of an illness. Your body could be aware of that.
Wow.
And then you can say, okay, is this mine or someone else's? Is it body? Is this yours or someone else's? If it lightens up, if someone else feels lighter, if it changes at all, if your perception or feeling of that, the way you're sensing that ache or pain changes at all, it's not yours. So that's one way. Mm-hmm. And then you can just say, okay, body, what is this? I'm not hearing you very well. Is there a different way you can show me? I'm trying to think of a good example of stuff. Like lots of information comes into your chest, stomach area. And for years I had people come in my office and they would say, oh my God, I feel kind of nauseous. I must have eaten something bad for lunch, right? That's kind of the go-to. And I'd be like, truth? Did they eat something bad for lunch? Usually I'd ask myself yes or no. I always get a no. Like it was never they ate something bad for lunch. It was usually something else their body was showing them. And they were coming in for a session for me. So often it had to do with what they wanted to change around the session. And we know that our stomach gives us information. We have words like butterflies in your stomach, your gut instinct, those kind of things. So I'm still waiting to have an awareness of what it's like when someone eats something bad, because I've actually never had a yes.
Wow.
I've never gotten a yes. And all the people I've asked, it's always been a no. It wasn't something they ate. So wow. I still haven't actually perceived what a body that feels nauseous, that ate something bad, feels like in 15 years. That's how rare it actually is. But that's our go-to every single time we ate something bad.
Wow. That is such a wow in my world right now. So, so what would you like to say around never give up, never give in, never quit with the bodies? Because people do quit, and Oh, you have a cat behind you.
I do. She just came up, or he. I've got 2 kittens.
Oh,
Or my
wow.
daughter got them. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, hello.
He wants to be on the
Also here
show.
to contribute. Her body is also here to contribute. Thank you.
Yes. What does she know?
Yeah.
Actually, that's her little boy. We have 2 black cats in there, so a boy and a girl. So that's the boy.
Oh,
That
lovely.
Shady is his name.
Oh,
What
lovely.
does he know? What is he showing us about bodies?
I
So what
wonder.
was your question you were about to ask? Oh, never give up, never give in,
Never,
never quit.
never quit with the bodies. So how do you, what would you say around that with bodies and never give up, never give in, never quit? Because people give up like the moment you have a disease, it's like a cancer or AIDS or, now Corona, people are paranoid. So what
Yeah.
would you like to say there?
Well, as long as your body's still alive, you haven't give up. You have not given up on it. When you give up on it is when you pass away, when you leave your body, when you die. That's really when we finally give up. And until that point, you haven't often given up on it, but it can feel devastating based on this reality. It can feel like it can't change. Um, what do you want to choose? What do you want to choose? Bodies heal. There's one thing a body, if you're not in the way,
Wow.
bodies heal.
So we get
I
in
see
the
it all
way,
the time. Hmm?
we get in our own ways to not heal.
Yeah, like I said, your points of views create your reality. Like, I mean, you brought up cancer a couple times. And someone that's willing to look at what was the value of creating cancer, which is so hard for most people to even consider
Yes.
as a possibility that they created it. They pretend they're the victims of everything. And what if you're not a victim? What if you actually are the creator of your life, the good, the bad, the ugly?
Yeah.
And if the thing is cool is if you create everything in your life and you're not the effect of anything, then you can be the person that changes everything. And that's where you never give up, never give in, never quit, because you create everything, you can change everything. So even with cancer, I've had people change cancer. Now they were also getting medical treatment, some of them. Some of them have chosen both. Many of them have actually, but it was finally when they got what the value of creating the cancer was that the medical treatments actually worked.
Wow. Wow.
Uh, and usually cancer is in this reality for most countries and cultures, cancer is a choice to die.
Right.
Somewhere there's a choice, or if you get diagnosed with it, you think you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of death around it. So sometimes it's, what are you dying to get out of?
Mm-hmm.
Which is an English phrase. If you don't, I'm sure you guys say that in India. What are you dying to get out of?
Yeah.
Makes sense. And if people will say the craziest stuff,
Wow.
mostly they're dying to get out of their relationships.
Yeah, I get that. I think relationship is a big thing. I think it's also the relationship within oneself, which people
Mm-hmm.
are trying to have from outside them. But then, it'll never be done because they're never gonna go inwards with them. The only people who like start looking at them and start fulfilling themselves as them is what I have seen, that they start loving their bodies, they start acknowledging. I mean, I've been into it for 7 years and I'm like, what does self-love mean? I mean, I don't understand the word love. And now it's where I get, and I'm like, wow, every day I come up with a new awareness that how I never even looked at my body. I've not looked at my, though I always say acknowledge that I do look at my body, but yet I haven't ever been so close to my body and so present with my body every moment.
Yeah, it's like gratitude, actually. This gratitude that you have a body and you get to play on this planet and be on this planet, enjoy this planet. I mean, what if the purpose of life is to have fun and have joy?
Yeah,
And we keep getting bodies lifetime after lifetime. There must be something about this
yeah.
embodiment that is greater than we can imagine, or what do we keep choosing it for?
That was my next question. I was coming to the embodiment. So, what would you like to say around embodiment, and how often have you come across bodies which are actually totally
That
communion?
are actually that are
Who have,
what?
other than the animals, you have actually seen the communion among the bodies in human bodies. Have you ever come across somebody
I
who's
see it in moments. I see it in moments on my table or in my classes all the time. There are moments when, I mean, your greatest relationship that you're with 24/7 is with your body. So there's moments where I see that joy of embodiment or the possibility of embodiment with everybody I work on. Everybody and everybody. I do see it. People that are totally choosing that, 100%. Now this reality is pretty intense and there's lots of points of views that can get in the way. I know when I'm not being that. And I can see in my kids, like maybe my youngest daughter, who has had access most of her life, at times has this ability, but her this reality creeps in as teenage years. So she would lose it and then it would come back. It's like never give up, never quit, never give in, never quit on the possibilities of having this communion with your body and this joy of embodiment, because it's available. Everyone's felt it. I mean, if you just notice those moments where you just were at peace, your body had a kindness and like the feeling of it was kind, where there weren't aches and pains and you almost couldn't smile, or you don't have to be laughing or giggling. I don't know if it was a time in nature, sometimes when you woke up in the morning after a nice meal. There's moments you can all come up with where there was that for you. And what it's more like, what would it take to have more of that as your reality?
So I guess question is the key to most of the embodiment stuff. So it's like you being present with your body, you being present with every breath you take, starts changing the body so beautifully.
Yeah. I'm like being present now with what is now, and always asking for what you would like your future to be. What would you like to have as your future? What would you like to create as your future? What would you like it to be? So present, even in the worst of times, like if you're ill and not feeling well, or your body, like be present with what's now. Don't project about what you think it's going to be and what you think's going to show up because of this thing you feel in your body, which is one of the things people do so much. Be present with what's now and ask, and be a question of what you would like to change or how you would like it to be. Like, what would it take for this to change and go away? What would it take to have a body that doesn't have pain? Doesn't mean pain's going to go away, but pain can start changing into the awareness it is, and then it's no longer pain, it's information.
That's so beautiful you said that. Don't go into the future of it and be here now. And any tool for that, because people say, oh, because it's an auto response system that we get into that thought of, okay, now this pain means so and so. It's the conclusion.
Yeah, it's kind of a muscle you have to build. Mm-hmm. That's the figuring it out. This means you have to figure out what's wrong with the body and what bad things are going to happen. Yeah. It's going to be a bad thing. It's never going to be better. There's no way you can feel anything in your body that's creating something better. But actually, that's such a lie, because so many of the things we feel in our body are creating a greater future for us. When we're little kids and we have growing pains, right? Yeah. I don't know if your kids did, but mine had growing. Those growing pains are actually perceiving the body growing, right. And it's actually creating something greater. So the pains in your body that you're calling pains can actually be creating a greater future and a greater possibility. So it's a muscle you build to be in the question. Be present now and ask.
Yeah. So you're saying that how with teenage bodies, we have the pains and aches, and we as parents start giving medication. Oh, why is that my child is aching? So my nephew's growing up. So other day he was sitting and like, oh, a lot of aches and I'm sleepy. And the mother was like, why the hell are you sleepy? And I'm like, it's okay. He's growing. His body is growing. The body is telling it's growing. But that information isn't even available, and I'm like, I was right there. I was like, it's okay. It's just the body changing. So I'm sure there are different phases of our life where our bodies are actually changing. Maybe the menopause, the before menopause for men, the different ages of the prostate stuff. So it's just a change that we have to kind of receive. That's what I'm getting from your whole talk. It's like so beautiful that our body is always informing that we are entering into a different phase now.
The body's always changing. It's not that there's times it changes. There's times it changes, obviously.
Yeah.
When you're a little baby and you grow from an infant to a 4-year-old, it's obvious that change. Teenagers, the guys get the broad shoulders, girls get curves. When you're pregnant, it's obvious. But every day your body is changing. It's you can't stop it from changing. It's getting new cells all the time. It's breathing constantly, the heart's beating. It's changing all the time. There's nothing about your body that's static ever.
But I guess the physical change, is that the physical change when it gets to like from a child to a teenage? Is that
right? And
when the aches become greater, maybe?
It can be, yes. When it's doing a lot of change, or if, you don't have to be a kid. If you were to start, I don't know, running on a treadmill every day
Yeah.
for an hour, you would feel what we would call sore in this reality as your body changed to build the muscle that you just asked it to build so you could run on a treadmill every day. I don't know if you like treadmills. I don't like treadmills. You're not going to find me on a treadmill every day. But if you start doing a physical activity, or if your body is fighting a virus, like a virus shows up in your body has to change drastically to fight it off. Everything you're feeling pretty much is the change and what's required to fight it. Most of the symptoms, like it puts you to bed. You go to sleep because your body's like, I don't want to do anything. I got this big battle with the virus I'm doing. That's change, and your body's creating it. But it doesn't have to be bad change. It can be great change, and you'll feel it. That's why one of the questions which you keep using is, body, are you changing? Just to ask it, are you changing? Is this a problem, or are you changing?
We never want our bodies to change, but they are changing. And I mean, I wonder what that is. We never want our bodies. We want them the same body all the time, the same clothes all the time, the same size all the time. What is that?
People are boring. People are boring. What is that? Well, I think it's a lack of awareness of what's true. Trying to hold on to something, you can't. Try not to change. Try not to breathe. That's a change. Your body's going to expand and contract. You're going to die, and that'll be change anyway. So you can't stop. One thing you can't do is stop change.
Wow.
So what if you were part of the creation of it? And what if the change you had in your life was something you were creating from choice and question and possibility, instead of pretending you're the victim of the change that's happening?
That's such a great one. Thank you. That is really a great one. That is no pretension there. What if you just acknowledge it? Probably will start changing. So Rohini has a question here. She says, I have been feeling suffocated at various points of the day for the past few weeks. Can't figure out what the awareness around that is. Could you throw some light on that?
What she's feeling? Did you say suffocated?
Yeah, at various points of the day for the past few weeks.
Well, what are you aware of? Who does that belong to? I mean, that's gonna be my first question. Suffocated, like you can't breathe.
Yeah.
So is there anything like that going on the planet?
Not at all, Glenna. Not at all.
No. I mean, there's a respiratory virus, creating, that we're all a victim of, whatever. There's this creation going on with the respiratory virus, and a lot of people are having infections, is what that would be, or they're aware of it. So what is she changing? What is she aware of? Is it hers? If those questions lighten up or change it at all, it's not hers. And then if that doesn't actually create the change, what is your body aware of? What is it showing you? Is there something your body knows about what's going on in the planet?
I think that's a great awareness that, Glenna, you gave, that we actually get into the victim mode the moment we have some illness in our body, rather than asking what am I aware of and what is changing. So we have, like, I do that all the time too. Like if something is going on and I'm like, shit, what the hell? What is that? Rather than like, okay, what is that aware of? When it comes to me, I'm definitely asking my questions, what am I aware of? But when it comes to somebody else, I'm like, what's going on? Rather than like, okay, ease out, because I've been with that illness for quite a bit. So I still get into those panic modes. But yeah, thank you for saying that. It's a victim.
Part of it's just using the tools, and you start to have more ease with bodies. Really don't destroy themselves very often. They actually just, if you let them be, they usually will heal, unless you have a point of view you don't want to be here. Most bodies are going to be creating greater. But sometimes it just takes years of asking.
Yeah, just asking, it's become so big.
And that's why I go to that one way, is this a problem? Yes or no? Like if someone came to me and they said they feel like they're suffocating all the time, I would ask the truth, is it a problem? Yes or no? Maybe in my head before I asked them other questions. I get a no, but what do you get? I don't tend to tell people what I know. I want them to know what they know and what their bodies know, and get that information. So it's not often, especially in classes, you'll know that in a class, I'm not going to tell you what I know. It doesn't help. My target is to empower people to know what they know with their bodies. So if I tell you, then I'm not actually contributing to my target. So I will usually not tell you what I know. It's going to be hard. You have to pay me a lot of money.
Yeah, ask me.
Yeah.
I used to hate that, and now I give that back to people. Like, what do you know? And they're like, "That's a rather question. What do you know?" I'm like, "Yeah, it comes very tough, but then that's the biggest empowerment that you have." So I also would like to you to talk more around what is this energy manual therapy that you kind of, this is a class that you brought up in the world, and
I know. I love this class. I
yes,
so love it. You've been to it a number of times. You
yes,
are.
I love it.
Um,
That's my favorite class.
yes. Yes. It is body work, hands-on body work with the energetic questions and tools and processes that I have been using from Access for all the years, and the body work I've done. And really, it came from the years of body work. The body showed me this technique or skill or this class, or kind of created the class. At one point, I wasn't sure I was going to continue doing it, and I heard thousands of bodies kind of almost yelling at me, going, "But we showed you this. That's why we want, that's why you've been doing it. Stop, keep teaching." And I was like, "Oh, I get it. Okay." Uh, so we're working with the fascial system in the whole body. So it's really a beautiful hands-on skills that you get to learn and ways to work with the body. And you don't need to have any kind of a background, right? I mean, you didn't have medical training, or you don't need to be a massage therapist or a chiropractor or anything like that. You just need to have hands and a interest in bodies. And there's beautiful skills to work with manipulating and changing the body, targeting the fascial connective tissue of the body, and then how to, like we've been talking about, how to ask the body questions, how to become aware, how to invite the being to know that they know with their bodies, and to invite change and awareness with bodies. Does
I,
that,
yeah.
what would you say about it? Because you've been to the
I
class.
wanted to say this is the most orgasmic body work you can have. I just get, it's so relaxing. It's better than a massage. It's like, it's just shifting your world. It's bringing your tears. It's bringing your pain. It's bringing everything, and you still feel sensing the orgasm in your body. It's
That's
like,
a way better than what I said.
it does. I remember my husband, he would not, once he had gone through, I mean, the SE and the EMT process, which I used to run on him. None of my friends could ever gift him any other body process other than that, because the only body process he wanted was EMT, running on his body all the time. And he would ask, "Do you know this? Do you know who all are the practitioners here who can do this?" And everybody have run on this, on how, like, don't want to run any other process because it's so orgasmic. It is like, it just relaxes your body, it just soothes it, it melts everything, it and actually melts that hardened part of the body.
Yes.
That
Thank you for saying that.
yeah,
Melts the hardened parts. The places where our points of views that are fixed create a solidity, and they create a solidity in our body. And over time, it becomes more fixed. So this does actually work to start ungluing these solidities to create more of a space. I like to say bodies become bouncy again.
yeah.
Like well held a baby.
Touching them, and I love seeing the hardened parts. And it's amazing how you use them and how you put your hands, and you're just being energetically with that, and it melts and everything changes. It's so magical. It's beautiful process, guys.
Yeah.
Not
It is cool. I mean, we've been talking about how the body changes for the last hour, and in this class, you'll actually feel it.
yeah.
I mean, it can change in real time, and you'll see it and feel it. I've had people drop 3 belt sizes after an hour process, and have scars just melt away in the shape of curves. And it's been an amazing adventure for the last few years teaching this class around the world. And the very first time I taught it was in India. I was in Mumbai.
Yes, totally yes. And how did we get so lucky? Thank you. I really owe that to you, and I love it. And I really tell everybody to, you must do this. You must do this, or actually get a session on yourself done, and to experience it. It's can't be expressed in words. It's like really amazing process. So thank you for that, Glenna, that you never gave up, never given, and never quit for that. Because had you not actually brought this to the world, I mean, that day in Hong Kong, I can't ever get over that, on the bed and you holding my neck, and you did something, and something melted in my world. And I know, I'm sure you don't remember because you do zillions of sessions, but I did remember. And I'm like, I would like to learn this. And see, I'm a great creator. I created the class.
You did. You brought me to India over and over again.
Yes.
Changed my life. I'm so grateful for you. And I
Yeah.
do remember this session. I remember that class in Dubai. Dubai was really fun.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
such a fun, rich city to play in.
What else is possible? And to connect with Glenna, we have put the links in the chat. And so Glenna keeps coming up with these workshops in India and worldwide. And you can go check her page. Glenna, is that?
Yeah, the Access Consciousness / Dr. Glenna Rice's
Right.
accessconscious.com / Dr. Glenna Rice has my schedule. There's not a lot up right now because I can't travel that easily. I'm just starting to put my schedule together with like, what would it take? Because I keep we've moved an India class back 4 times since March. So as soon as I can,
possibility of a Zoom call to give more information and then have a class in person.
what would
But
it take? That's a really easy possibility. I would have one with you in a second.
sure. Also, thank you, Glenna. Anything else you would like to say for Be the Change page? And what would you say, like, Be the Change with the bodies, and what invitation can Be the Change page for the world?
What would it take to be willing to know that you're not a victim of anything around you? And never give in up, never quit. I love that we're talking about today, because what else is possible you haven't ever considered? Choose.
Just choose. Make a choice.
Choose.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Glenna. It was beautiful. I can never end up talking. I can keep going on and on forever, but thank you so much for waking up in the morning and being here. And thank you, everybody who was here listening to Glenna. And please share if it was comforting to you and there was a lot of information here, what it will take for you all to share this with everybody you know. And what else is possible in the future, and keep staying tuned. We'll come with the next guest next Sunday at 7. Let's see who shows up and what else is possible, and keep in touch with us for more to come on Be the Change page. And thank you, my team, Ritu, Parata, Shivangi, and Sonali, without whom this is not possible. Thank you. Thank you, Glenna, again. Bye-bye, everyone. Good night.